opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Wednesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. As always, brought to you by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. You can see them on both sides of our logo there. We thank them for their constant support and sponsorship of this, not just this show, but everything that we do on YSN. They go the extra mile for you, and we try to do the same here on this show every single day. It is a Wednesday, which means we got Scotty on my sidecar. Scotty, how we doing today?
I'm doing great, and ready to go, ready to rock and roll.
Ready
This
to
is-
rock it. Apparently
It's
my
one of
voice
my
is not ready to
favorite
rock and
times of
roll. I'm
year,
already dying of an
sports
asthma attack, and we're not even 3 minutes into the show. What'd you say?
It's I was just saying I'm all psyched up. It's one of my favorite times of year, sports wise, coming off a great weekend in which I had such fun at our All-Star game. So I'm stoked for this show today, man.
Scotty, we're going to ask you about your experience at our All-Star game a little bit later on in the show. But first, let's get to our recaps of last night's action. We had plenty of baseball and softball. It finally felt like opening day. We had a couple of teams open on Saturday. We had a couple of teams open on Monday. Some teams were able to get in. But yesterday, the skies were dry, and most of the teams were able to start their season yesterday. So it finally, Scotty, felt like opening day for spring sports.
Yes, it did. Finally, the skies were dry. Although you said there's rain in the forecast for the coming days.
And here comes Scotty Raincloud just raining over all the positivity. Yes, there is some rain that we're still trying to dodge for the rest of the week. We'll talk about that and some cancellations at the end of the show. Let's start our recaps with the game that I was at. It was the softball matchup between Poland and Hubbard down in Hubbard Softball Stadium. Scotty, the first time I've ever been able to do a game from a parking lot. The way the Hubbard field is constructed, you got it sits on the bottom of a little hill, and then at the top of that little hill is the parking lot. So I just set up right in the parking space, put the table there, and was parked ready to go. But it was a great softball game. Started off really, really good for Poland. They scored the first 9 runs of the game. They had a 9-run lead. Leanne Williams had a day, 4 for 4, 3 doubles, 4 RBI. She was hitting really well. Katie McDonald seemed like she was rolling through the first 4 innings. And then in the 5th and 6th, Scotty, Hubbard was making a run of it. They scored 5 runs in the 5th and 6th innings combined. They tried to make it a comeback. So they went down 4 in the 7th. And as much as I do, Scotty, there's a big difference between being down 5 and being down 4. Because when you're down 4, you're really just one swing away. One swing away when the bases are loaded, you can tie up that game. And that's Hubbard came into that 7th inning with a chance, and they got their first 2 base runners aboard. So they had runners on first and second, nobody out. But then Katie McDonald really dug deep, grinded through the cold, struck out the side after that, and escaped the Hubbard comeback 9-5. Poland gets the victory last night over Hubbard to open the season.
Yeah, and that to be able to do that, especially because I think it's just human nature to relax a little bit once you have, such a big lead and you get off to that great start. It's human nature to relax, but to kind of stymie a rally once a team, like you said, it's big if they get it to if they're able to get within 4 runs, and to be able to stymie that and settle down while they had a rally going with their first two runners on base to start the inning, to be able to just calm down, take a deep breath, and strike out the side. That takes a lot of composure. So kudos to her.
Yeah, and it started off. The game was warm out. It was warmish. You didn't really feel too cold. I think the temperature at first pitch was 55. The sun was out, but Scotty, as soon as that like 6:15 hit, when the sun starts to go down, it wasn't set yet, but it starts to go down. Clouds start to get in the way. I'll tell you, it got cold in a hurry, and it felt like as soon as it got cold, that's when Hubbard made their run. So it felt like it kind of the momentum shifted with the temperature.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes that'll happen. I think. I mean, I've tried to put myself in, you know, players' shoes. Always, watching games as a spectator. Aside from when I was really young, and I always think about like sports and like once it gets cold and
Hmm.
playing in the cold, and specifically baseball and softball. And I always think, are the pitchers is are they at the advantage, or is it really the hitters at the advantage? And I kind of go back and forth on it, but
Well,
um
sorry, I know. I mean, we've been in the cold. We live in Northeast Ohio. I don't know about you, but when I get cold, the first thing to go is some of my like hand functions. Like I can't really get as strong of a grip, and I can't do all these. I can't move my hands as fast. I imagine gripping that softball, especially softball, when it's bigger. You got to get a solid grip of it. You got to make sure your fingers are locked in. Doing that in the cold has got to be really tough. And I think that's one of the reasons why you saw Hubbard start to get a little bit of momentum as it started to get cold. Maybe Katie McDonald's spin wasn't up to where it was at the start of the game.
Yeah, that's a good point, and you have all the so many softballs on display in your home, your great room you have there. But that's a very good point. Um, I didn't necessarily think about was just being able to get that grip on
Hmm.
the softball, but at least for you, from a fan perspective, made from for a more entertaining game with a
Oh, it
little.
did, and I give Hubbard a lot of credit because whether or not Katie McDonald was losing her grip of the ball or not, I mean Hubbard's down 9, and they didn't pack in the towel. And this is a team that lost a lot from graduation a year ago, and there were a lot of new faces on that team, and obviously the pitcher that Phoebe Rusnak, who they have the utmost belief in, and they had her moments last night. But when you watch her, someone that you really believe in, give up 9 runs, it can really be deflating. But they were never deflated. Phoebe Rusnak never let the struggles in the circle equal struggles at the plate. She had a really good at bat. She was 2 for 3. Lauren Kamarik was also 2 for 3 for Hubbard. Top of their lineup did their job, got on base, and then a couple of times the bottom half of their lineup was able to set the table for the top half and give them RBI opportunities. Lauren Kamarik had 3 RBIs on the day, so Hubbard was able to just fight back from being down on nothing, and whether or not you want to attribute it to the cold, like we're kind of jokingly around, or whether you just want to attribute it to Hubbard making a lot of good adjustments to the plate, either way, it was a valiant effort. Usually, when you're down 9-0, that is heading towards a run rule very, very quickly. One, I think they did a good job avoiding that 10th run in the top of the fifth, but then to come back and score a couple and then score three more in the sixth and then get off to a good start in the seventh with their first two base runners aboard. They did a really good job. And I think one of the reasons why, Scotty, now that I'm thinking back, this is how my brain works. This is what you get on Running Point. Things just kind of start flashing into my memory. They had 6 walks on the day, so they were really selective at the plate. They did strike out 14 times, so it's kind of that double-edged sword. They were selective. Maybe they watched some pitches that they probably could have hit, but they also drew a lot of walks. They got a lot of base runners for free, 6 of them. So that was a good adjustment by them too, and it gave them, like I said, some RBI opportunities for the top of that lineup.
And it has to give them confidence as well, moving forward. Not that it's one game so early into the season. Even if they did get mercy ruled, it's kind of baseball, softball. You have that short memory because it's always a quick turnaround with the next game, but it gives them the confidence, really, no matter the deficit, that they're gonna be able to come back and make a game of it, regardless of the pitcher or the opponent that they're facing.
They'll bring confidence into tomorrow. Unfortunately for Poland and Hubbard, their game that was scheduled, their second game of the series that was scheduled for today, excuse me, has been postponed. So they will play tomorrow at Poland, and it will be the grand opening of Poland's brand new softball facility at the high school. Let's go over to the baseball side. Same matchup, Hubbard versus Poland. Poland, they have a lot of new faces on the baseball team, graduating a ton of can't get that. A ton of seniors last year, but man, new faces didn't matter. The Bulldogs, they cruise. Dang. I'm okay. Promise. They cruise to a 9-2 win against Hubbard. It gave their head coach Richard Murray his 300th career win on his career. Let's see, Dominic Alaya, Tegan McCurdy, Chris Denny, and Ryan DeLulo, and Aiden Dang, I got that tickle. Aiden Thompson all drove in runs. Bryce Behringer and Matt Bocherry each had multiple hits. And then Alaya not only hit well, but he also batted well he also pitched well for Poland. 5 innings, only gave up 1 hit and 2 runs, and he struck out 9. So a great performance from Dominic Alaya. He gets our player of the game in that game. What a night for Poland. Their softball team opens up with a win, but then their baseball team gets legendary head coach over there, Rich Murray, his 300th career victory as the head coach of the Poland Bulldogs.
And it's always a little more special when you could get that milestone. It got me to thinking, Anthony, what would give you more joy, reaching a milestone like that as a player or reaching it as a coach?
Well, I'm trying to think of like what milestone would really equate to that as a player, because obviously you have to put so much time in to get 300 wins as a coach. Because you only get like 20, if you're lucky, 25 games per season. If the weather is as bad as it was last year, it might be cut down to 18 or 19 games per season. That's a lot of time put in to get 300 wins. So you obviously the professional milestones that you can put in that amount of time, but as a coach, obviously Rich Murray would probably echo this. As soon as he gets that milestone, he probably immediately reflects on all the student athletes he's been able to coach and all the people and kids that had a hand in each of those 300 wins. And I think that's just that special moment where you kind of you're able to sit back for a minute and understand how many people you've come across and how many people you've been able to coach and how many probably people have helped him build this program. I don't know if he's had the exact same assistants throughout his tenure at Poland. I would bet that he's had a couple of changes or a couple of people come in to help him that are different. So he obviously gets to reflect on that too, and all the people that have helped him get to that win. I would say that milestone, especially at this level, as a coach, would probably be more meaningful because there's so many years that you get to reflect and look upon those memories and those 300 wins.
A lot of people you impact as well
Mm-hmm.
over those years.
And how
So
about that? I mean, obviously this is Poland's first game of the year, first win of the year. So last year he ended at 299. You know, that's got to be one of those things. You end a season, you're one win away from 300, and you have to wait the whole off season to get it.
yeah, you wonder how much that was
It's got to make you
eating away at him.
talk about making you hungry to start the next year.
Yeah. Definitely a reason for motivation for sure.
Just like their softball team, Poland baseball has been postponed tonight. They will play at Poland tomorrow in game 2 of that series against Hubbard. Some other recaps for you. South Range softball got the win over Jefferson last night to open up their season. It was Samantha Suzanne that pitched them a shutout in the circle. She struck out 13 on the night, and she also allowed just one hit in the contest. 3-0. The Raiders get the win. Jefferson pitching, though, really kept the Raiders pretty much in check. The offense was in the second inning. Gretchen Bartels had an RBI ground out. And then Kira Brogan also had a good day at the plate, 2 for 3. She led the Raiders in hits. But this Raider offense, was kind of held in check by Jefferson. They had to really lean on the pitching of Suzanne to get them. Jefferson trying to be that team that kind of pokes some bears in that tough NE8 conference, and they had something to say. That pitching was pretty impressive. It's hard to hold that offense to 3 runs.
Yeah, that was a job well done. I mean, the pitching kept them in the game.
They did.
Uh,
That's the
the
name of the game for a pitcher, Scotty, right? I mean, all you have to do, you just have to give your team a chance to win. I mean, obviously, you're not always going to get the run support that you want, and that's just a part of the sport. But your job in the circle or on the mound, keep the team in it. Give your team an opportunity to win. And I think Jefferson's pitching staff was able to do that.
Yes, they were, and it has to be encouraging because I feel like, especially this time of year, like we talked about, when you really it's a crapshoot weather-wise. You don't know what you're gonna get on a day-to-day basis. It could be very cold. So you talked earlier about pitchers having more difficulty with that grip on the ball, especially if it gets colder as the game goes on. If Jefferson could pitch like this, or I mean, obviously they're not going to be, great every game, but if they can be consistent, good most of their outings, you got to figure that offense is going to eventually come around.
Here was another good sign for them, Scotty. Speakman struck out 4, which means the Raiders were able to put the ball in play a lot, and Jefferson's defense did pretty well too. Speakman is a pitch-to-contact pitcher. She's not going to strike out a ton. She'll get her strikeouts, but she's not going to be that girl that's striking out 10, 11, 12 per game. So her defense backing her up, also good signs for Jefferson in that way. Both teams will play again today. That game, it will have a 3:30 start time, 3:30 first pitch from South Range. It's going to be a Jefferson home game. So Jefferson will be the home team, but it will be played at South Range at 3:30. They're trying to avoid the weather that is supposed to come in around 6 o'clock. So 3:30 start time. Jefferson versus South Range softball. Let's get another baseball recap and then we'll take a break. Let's see. Boardman was able to impress. They got a win to open up the season 14-2 over Heartland Christian. And the Spartans were hot from the start. They scored in the first inning and then they secured the victory thanks to 10 runs in the second inning. Talk about that. I mean, you jump early. You're 2 innings into the game and you're down 11-0. That's got to be a real tough pill to swallow, Scotty.
Yeah, it does. Two innings in. I guess if you're a coach, you could spin it as, okay, it's bad right now. It's 11-0, but we still, you could try to spin it as there's still a lot of game left here, just like with some of the games we talked about earlier in the comeback in the 9-5 game last night. And you had a rally there, but yeah, that's definitely deflating. Not the way you want to start the season, but the good thing about um, baseball and softball is I think you're just programmed, players and coaches, to be able to have that short memory and wipe the slate clean after a bad night.
Scotty, it was the slew of batters that did well for Boardman. Ben Herman, Grayson Eicher, Caleb Satterfield, and Gavin Hyde all drove in runs in that big 10-run second inning. And then the last run scored was a Dylan Barrett double. Um, that kind of just ran away that inning. Hyde pitched for the Spartans. He lasted 3 innings. He allowed 1 hit, 1 run, struck out 6. Out of the bullpen, they had Kevin Peckerman and Dom Lombardo come on to the game as well. They both pitched well out of the bullpen in relief. And Boardman once again gets to win 14-2. We'll go over some more scores. All these recaps that we're talking about, if you want to find out the stats and who the best players were and all the great players that shined last night, recaps can be found on ysnlive.com. Obviously, we don't have time to go over every game and talk about all the big moments in every game, but the recaps all can be found at ysnlive.com. Here's some more scores, though, from last night. Columbiana softball got the win over Boardman 4-3, a great opener for Columbiana going up to Division One and getting a win over the Spartans. Boardman out-hit Columbiana, but it did not matter. 15-0. Austintown Fitch makes quick work out of Howland after really struggling against them last night, or I should say 2 nights ago in their last game. It was 1-0 on Monday. It was 15-0 on Tuesday. A big turnaround for Fitch. They sweep the Tigers. Ursuline softball got the win 18-2 over Bristol to open the season. We saw West Branch get the win over Garfield last night, 15-2. They opened their season with a win. South Range baseball also beat Jefferson 10-0. The final score there on the baseball diamond. The Raiders are 2-0. West Branch baseball beat Mooney 11-1. We see Girard baseball beat Niles 8-5. The final score there. Waterloo softball was able to beat Sebring 15-2. Louisville softball able to beat Massillon, Washington 4-1. Louisville baseball was able to beat Edgewood in Tennessee. Final score there was 10-1 in Tennessee. Jackson Milton baseball knocks off Springfield 4-3. The final score there. On the softball field, same matchup. Springfield was able to knock off Jackson Milton 9-1. Maddie Lesnack hit a home run in that game. They're her first of the season. United Softball sweeps Lisbon 22-1. The final score there. Tori Firth threw another no-hitter. She has yet to give up a hit this season through 2 games, Scotty. East Baseball opened up their brand new baseball field with a 10-9 win over Cheney. Their program has grown because of this new field, Scotty. Their coach was on 21 WFMJ last night. Our partners had a great report on that, on the opening of the field, and he said they have 30 players in their program this year, which is a big step up for East. So congratulations to them on getting the first win of the season on their brand new baseball field. 10-9 the final score there against Cheney. Fitch Baseball sweeps Howland. Howland swept them last year. Different story this season. 7-5. Fitch gets the win on the baseball diamond. Those are your scores from last night. Did anything other than the games that we already talked about pop out at you when you hear those scores, Scotty?
Well, I'm very happy for East, opening the season with a win in the first game in that new stadium, and it's great when you can get a new stadium, new facility. It gets everybody excited.
Right, it really does.
What's that?
I said, right, it really does.
Yeah, and it's there's like that extra just shot of adrenaline. It's like an extra shot in the arm. It really gives a boost to the community. So happy for East getting their first win in a slugfest there, 10-9. But also, I find it interesting when you said about Fitch against, sweeping Howland. That's kind of like a little bit of redemption they got.
It is. Look,
after getting swept last year. So very, very interesting. That was probably eating away at them all season, and it just shows you year to year how much can change.
It's very impressive, Scotty, because last year, Fitch lost a lot of talent to graduation last year. So they're coming with a very young baseball team. Probably not a lot of expectations outside of the program. Some baseball experts would probably say, oh, maybe Fitch won't be as good this year as they were last year with all the things they lost. But how many times have we seen people say that about YSN teams this year, no matter what the sport is? We've seen it in football. We saw it in volleyball. Definitely saw a couple of basketball teams do it. Oh, man, this team lost a lot. They're probably not going to be as good. And then here we are, and they're either as good or better than the year before. Great start for Fitch.
Yeah, it is, and they definitely riding high right now. And I always enjoy watching them on the football field in the state of Ohio. Everybody's so always pumped up for football, but to me, baseball and softball in different ways, because I think there's more variables than even football games you see. But to me, baseball and softball just as exciting as football is, and I'm happy for Fitch that they're off to a great start this season.
Joe Paris and the boys out to prove people wrong all season long. And like I said, we've seen how dangerous it can be to discount YSN family schools. And if you're sleeping on Fitch, you better wake up. It's the alarm clock's ringing, and Fitch baseball ready to go. Great win for them. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll see what Scotty brings to the table for this show. He always brings great content for us. We'll talk to Scotty a little bit more when we come back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, we offer a worry-free experience for all our customers.
From sales to financing and even service,
We'll help build your perfect vehicle.
and lock in your trade value.
while your vehicle is being built.
No worries.
We guarantee financing.
Regardless of your situation or credit history.
No worries. And when your vehicle needs service,
Our award-winning team will get you back on the road.
No worries.
That's what going the extra mile means. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Change. This one word can make you break out in a cold sweat. But with change comes wisdom, experience, and understanding. At Myers Family Insurance, we can help make changes in Medicare, insurance, and retirement a positive experience for you and your family. We've gone through changes, like our new office and new faces to help our family of clients too.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance. Check us out online at myersfamilyins.com or find us on Facebook.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa.
And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing.
Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships.
We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team.
Your goals, our game plan.
Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Anthony Hartwig alongside Scotty Mincher. And Scotty, got one more awesome thing to talk about from last night before we get to your thoughts on the All-Star game. We have a perfect game. We weren't there as an announcer. We weren't able to get the game on live, so we had to kind of wait for the stats to trickle through and get confirmation on it. But Bella O'Brien, perfect game for McDonald. 15 strikeouts, no walks, no hits. And McDonald gets to win 13-0 over Badger. So perfect game, a perfecto for Bella O'Brien from McDonald.
Wow. Perfect game. Anytime you can do that, no hitters are impressive. And then you take it up to that other level with a perfect game and just being so dominant like that. That's,
by the way, Scotty, talk about dominance. If you do the math, perfect game, 13-0. That's a 5-inning win. 5 innings, 5 times 3. That's 15 outs, 15 strikeouts. That means Badger did not put a ball in play.
Yeah, that's about as dominant you could get. He'll remember that the rest of his life.
Bella O'Brien, perfect game. Congratulations to her and the McDonald Blue Devils for that win over Badger to open their season. And like Scotty said, you'll have that softball forever, and you'll remember it forever. All right, with that being said, Scotty wanted to give Bella her flowers, but it is time for your segment of the show, and I want to start with asking about your All-Star experience. You were at the All-Star game. This is the second one you've been able to attend. We amped it up a little bit this year going to the Beagley Center. You were able to take it in on the floor. What were some of your takeaways from last night's, well, I should say this weekend's All-Star game?
Well, it was I was honored and privileged to even just get the invite, get the invitation again from DJ, and it was great being able to be right there on the floor and sit so up close. It's really the closest I've been. Last year, me and you, Anthony, I think we were on the call of the girls game, but it was really the closest I've been as far as being right on the floor of any game. The only one that comes to mind that I can think of is one time I sat courtside for a Cavs Knicks game, but other than that, it was about as close as I could have wanted to be for a game, and we obviously had two games with the girls and the boys, and it was just so awesome seeing the fast-paced action up that close, and I thought it was just very interesting that the contrast between the girls' game and the boys' game, because I thought that the girls, they were definitely still having fun out there, but they were playing with a certain level of intensity as well, really playing really tough, on the ball, man to man defense, really hustling, grinding it out defensively. And then you had the boys, and it just seemed like they wanted it to be a 3 point, half court contest, which was, fun to see as well. And we almost had several of those big time shots, those half quarters go down in the boys and the girls games. They came very close. I thought we were gonna get one.
I say this all the time when people ask me like what I like. Even you've asked me what I liked about calling the girls All-Star game, and you can't you tell them that it's just for fun. Go out there, have fun. Put on a show, and they get it to an extent, but you can't turn off that desire to win on the girls' side. Like they wanted to win the game. You look at the bench. I talked to some players before the game. They were like looking over at the bench. They were making kind of scouting reports. Like they wanted to win that game. They didn't care as much about putting on a show or the razzle. Like they just wanted to win. And you saw that as soon as the PA announcer said, any half court shot at this point from that one spot of the floor will tie up the game no matter what the score is. That defense got even more intense. Like that team was like, you are not getting that shot off. We are coming. We are winning this game. You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't just tell them it was just an exhibition. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. You can't tell them that. You can't turn off that competitiveness. It was just like, we're going to win this game. We're going to play extremely good defense. And this team's not going to go off and score, 60 points in this All-Star game.
Yeah, and that's what you gotta love about. I mean, we've talked about it, and many people have said this, and I know DJ agrees, and you agree, Anthony, that competition brings out the best in everybody. But yeah, like you could tell, like they were out there. They it's not like they weren't having a
Well, they were
good
having a blast,
time.
and there were some girls that tried to have some fun with some stuff. Katie Grexa tried to miss her own free throw and jump up and get the rebound. Like there was still time for that, but at the end of the day, like the girls' game, you could just tell they didn't turn the competitiveness off. They wanted to win, and I think the boys had a competitiveness, but it wasn't about the score. The boys wanted to test their talent against the other player, like head to head. Like, okay, you're guarding me. Maybe it was someone that I've never went up against before. I want to see if I can score on you. So it wasn't necessarily I want to win as a team for the boys. It felt like on the boys' game it was more I want to win these one-on-one matchups, right? Because we saw a lot of isolation. Like, hey, we're just gonna ISO this guy, have him go one-on-one and drive to the hoop and see if he can beat him one-on-one off the dribble. And everyone else kind of parted, right? So it was a lot of that for the boys' game. I think the boys were more one-on-one, and the girls were more team on team. But you look at it, Scotty, and it's not surprising because the way that boys and girls are kind of developed in basketball is a lot different. You look at the college basketball on the women's versus the boys side, and you look at the NBA compared to the WNBA, and there's a lot of ISOs and kind of just one-on-one opportunities on the men's side. And on the women's side, it's more, we got to work as a unit and run a really intricate set plays to get this win. So I think when you look at the way the girls are raised in basketball compared to boys, of course the games are just a little bit different. The style is a lot different, and that's why you can't just. It's like comparing apples to oranges because the style of basketball is different in both. And so, of course, the All-Star games, when you tell them these are the best players on the floor, the way that they go out and have fun are two completely different ways. I'm sure the girls had fun playing defense and trying to get those block shots. How many block shots did we see? And the boys had fun trying to ISO each other and trying to drive one-on-one and trying to get those high-flying dunks and the alley-oops. And because that's how they're raised up in basketball. That's what they see when they watch the premier basketball players on the men's side. They see those high-flying alley-oops and the dunks and the ISO plays. That's what they see. So that's what they want to do in the All-Star game when it's like, hey, we don't have to win tonight. It doesn't matter if we win or lose. Let's just go out there and have fun. That looks different to boys than it does for girls. And they both are great products, but you're right. Completely different styles of basketball in an All-Star game.
Yeah, like the girls are like, okay, let's all do this. Let's do this together, and the boys are like, kind of like a little bit. I'm gonna go off and play some what you like to call hero ball.
Right, and you can do that. Like the boys are given free reign to do that in an All-Star game. It's like Christmas Day. Because all season they have to play as a team. They have to make sure their team gets to win, do whatever it takes for that team to win. And all those guys do a great job of doing that. It's one of the reasons why they got into the All-Star game. None of those guys are used to playing hero ball during the regular season. But then you take those safety breaks off. It's almost like a NASCAR when you take the restrictor plate off. You take the restrictor plate off and you just let them go. And you get to see them just kind of do those things that they can't do during the regular season when it's all about making sure the team wins.
And not to take away anything, like you love, like we talked about, the competitive nature of the regular season. But another thing I really chuckled at, I thought it was good to see, was our man DJ. He was chatting it up with both coaches, like as the game was going on. And that's how you can. I'm like, yeah, this is an all-star game. This is what it's all about, having a good time.
We had once again. I want to thank the coaches that were able to come on the boys and girls side. They all 8 of them did a wonderful job of making sure the experience for the players was as electric and as satisfying and as joyful as it could be. They all put in their time. And it was a great job by all of them to be able to come and be a part of that game. Can't thank them enough. Scotty, I also saw that you got a chance to meet Zion Hensley in the lobby. She was obviously selling shirts and there for a little bit to meet some fans. You got to meet her. You got to take a picture with her. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that was really awesome. I've heard about her through a couple of mutual friends, so I did hear a little bit about her, beforehand, and her fabulous career at such a young age, only 13 years old. So it's something that I really cherish. Anytime there's, especially around the area, we have such a rich history in boxing, and I do plan on, wherever it may be, at some point, I plan on getting Ray Boom Boom Mancini to join us for maybe one of the running points or power hours. But because we have such a rich history when it comes to great fighters throughout the area. It's just absolutely it's one of those things that it's just a real blessing to see someone at that young of an age not only be a national champion, a champion boxer already, but a gold medalist as well, and to be able to buy one of her shirts, support her in that way, and get a picture with her and some of my friends, Kristen and Radar, and talk to her dad a little bit, who seemed like he was a super nice guy. It was definitely something I cherished, and that's why I just felt compelled to make a post not only about the games, about the All-Star games and just how great it was taking them in from a courtside view, but also getting to meet Zion in person and get a photo with her. It's something I'll definitely cherish, forever, really.
I was talking to her dad for a little bit too before she got there. When we were setting up, their dad got there before she did. I was talking to him as they were setting up, and in a 3-minute conversation with him, I got a huge glimpse into just how hectic the life is for that young woman. Like for at that age, they have to go here and 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 here. Okay, and then all the things that like you don't even think about that she has to think about at that age. That like you think about us at 14 weren't even in our mindscape. But like she had to go get her taxes done. Like she has to be a part of those meetings. Were you doing taxes at 14? I wasn't.
I think I was still.
I didn't even have any understanding of how taxes worked at 14. Forget actually having to do it myself when I have a meeting with my tax person.
I think I was still watching like Rugrats and SpongeBob. I was probably. Well, I won't say that on the air.
He's about to get NC-17.
Yeah, there's a lot of things I was doing at that age where I definitely wasn't. I was a kid at heart. Put it that way.
Scotty, you just pull the jaws on me. You just made the unknown a lot scarier than it was, because everything that's going into my mind of what you were going to say is just like terrifying me right now.
I mean, I guess I could just.
No, don't say it. I don't want to know. Don't do it. It's
You don't
dangerous.
want to know.
I'm just letting you know that like everything's more scary when you don't know what it is. When you have to use your imagination. That's why Steven Spielberg did not show the shark nearly as much as probably he wanted to, because he realized, hey, it's more scary if we don't show the shark in Jaws. If you have to imagine where he's at, and you just pulled the jaws on me, brother. You just pulled the jaws on me.
I was, well, that shark was mechanical too.
Yep, Bruce.
Yeah,
Bruce the shark. Wow, that was a tangent, but I just my mind just froze. Oh man, Scotty, you had a fun time in that All-Star game. I know you brought some other stuff that you want to talk about. We have about 7 minutes or so before we end the show. What else is on your brain today on this wonderful
real
Wednesday?
Quickly here, I wanted to get your thoughts. I don't know if you saw this, Anthony, but I'm sure you know by now. You've seen that Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson has requested to be traded from the Ravens. And I don't know if you saw this, Anthony, but former NFL star Richard Sherman, he went and he threw quarterback, not just your quarterback, a couple as well. Another one in Buffalo, but Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, he kind of blamed it on them for what he calls them taking BS contracts, and he talks about Mahomes' contract, only so much of it being fully guaranteed and not being the fully guaranteed deal. I just want to know, did you see Richard Sherman's comments
I
and
did
what?
not see his comments directly. I follow a bunch of Chiefs fans on Twitter. I'm part of like the Chiefs Kingdom community on Twitter. All I saw were a bunch of people were mad at Richard Sherman, and I didn't really understand why. And I looked for his comments, but I still I can't fully comprehend exactly what he's saying. So because Mahomes always restructures his contract so the Chiefs can go out and sign some people every year, that's why Lamar Jackson can't get his contract? Is that what he's trying to say? I mean, I didn't even understand the correlation. Or is he trying to say that because Mahomes got, he's eventually going to get a lot of money, that's why Lamar wants a lot of money and that's why he's not getting it? I don't understand what he was trying to. Is he trying to say Mahomes is letting Lamar Jackson get shortchanged, or Mahomes is making Lamar Jackson try to get way more than he's supposed to because of how much Mahomes will eventually get out of the contract? I don't know what he was saying. Which one is it?
I believe he was trying to say that his point was he's letting Lamar get shortchanged.
Well, no one said that about Tom Brady every year he took pay cuts.
Yeah,
Why is it Mahomes' fault? He's constantly making room for his team to go and get players. I don't. That doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, whatever. Richard Sherman is the dumbest smart person that I hear in the football media, because he's obviously very educated. His education from Stanford is immaculate, and he did a lot of work in his education. He's a very educated person, but some of the stuff that he says when he has the football opinions are just what? And I don't know. I mean, if you're trying to say that because people like Mahomes and even Josh Allen are taking contracts that help out their team instead of helping out themselves, and that's why other teams aren't paying players what maybe you think they deserve to be paid. If you're trying to say that, I mean, okay, sorry that we're being a little bit unselfish and that's hurting selfish people. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's
I think Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes are both buying into the what Tom Brady bought into. It's one of the things that made Tom Brady so great. Hey, we'll eventually get paid, and we're going to get paid outside of football a lot. Mahomes is making a lot of money outside of his contract with the State Farm and with all the sponsorships he gets. He's making a lot of money outside of football, and he's saying, I'm going to make a lot of money outside of football, so I'll constantly give the Chiefs room in my football contract to go out and get some people if they need to get some people. Is that a bad, when did that become a bad thing? I don't know.
And I also, not that I don't think, I do think Lamar Jackson is still an extraordinary talent. Yeah, you can make the argument the last 2 years he's been hurt a lot.
How many playoff games has he won, Scotty?
I don't think he's
one.
Maybe
right?
one. That's it. But I mean, he always has them in the playoff. See, Anthony, I'm not saying you do this, but I think a lot of people, because Pat Mahomes is so great, I fall into this trap too. Because Mahomes is so great, it's like I want to compare everybody to Pat Mahomes, and there's only one Pat Mahomes.
And this isn't even a conversation of on the field talent. This is just what they're getting paid. You know what I'm saying? This isn't even comparing Mahomes' ability on the field to Lamar. This is just trying to say Lamar deserves more money and he's not getting it because the Ravens are watching what the Bills are doing with Josh Allen and what the Chiefs are doing with Patrick Mahomes. I think that's ludicrous.
And I also, not that I do think he deserves a big payday, because like I said, he's a game changer. I mean, I do think there's gonna be a significant drop off if the Ravens have to end up going with Tyler Huntley for a year over Lamar Jackson, but I also think Lamar Jackson kind of screwed himself a bit when he didn't hire an agent and just has represented himself this whole time.
All right, so
So
let me
some
ask
of
you,
the
Scotty. Well, I'll ask you this, and then we'll close the show and preview tonight's games, and then we'll get back to local right after this question. Because you just said Lamar Jackson deserves a big payday, right? So let's just say all the quarterbacks in the league, let's say all the top tier quarterbacks in the league, you could say top 10, whatever. They're all in a position, hypothetically, where they all need new contracts. They all need this new contract. Where do you put Lamar Jackson in that pecking order of he deserves this money, compared to the other guys that deserve the money, right? Because there are a lot of guys that deserve a payday. So where would you put? I mean, I'm thinking like Lamar Jackson might be like 6 or 7 in that like deserves a payday out of the top tier quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's fringe top 5, but
Because he
I
hasn't won the big game yet. And at the end of the
no.
day, it's all about winning the big game. It's all about winning a big game, like winning the conference, winning a playoff game. I'm not even talking about just the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl is an ungodly standard. So if you're going to say he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, so he doesn't deserve to get paid, that's stupid. But he hasn't won a big playoff game yet. He hasn't won a conference yet. So it's
No, he has not. They had that great 14-2 season, but then
he did win a
won
conference.
his MVP award, but then they got knocked out in the divisional.
Right. So that kind of washes away that whole season.
So yeah, I mean, you're right, and I totally agree with you.
He's
on
like,
both
you know what he
points.
is, Scotty? It's like the Alex Smith conundrum back when he left San Francisco and even when he was in Kansas City. Yes, he wins a lot of games. He's good. He definitely puts you in position to win. But his knock, and that's why he got replaced, was when it comes down to it and they need a win or it's a big game, he's not the quarterback that makes the plays that win it. And I think right now, Lamar Jackson's in that same boat. He's great. He makes a lot of good plays. He puts you in position to win. He's going to make your team really good. But he hasn't proven yet that he goes and wins big games.
But two quick, just to play devil's advocate, two really quick points to close the show. Number one, I agree with that, but I'll also say I don't think the Ravens have done a good job surrounding him with talent like the Chiefs have done with Patrick Mahomes, and also the Bills have done with Josh Allen. I don't think he's had as much talent around them. So that's number one. And then number two is, all that being said, I think there's 2 teams in his own division that, at least right now anyway, as much faith as I have in Deshaun Watson turning it around. And I do think he's going to be a really good quarterback. But right now, I'd still say Lamar's better than him. And as good of a rookie season Kenny Pickett had, I think Lamar's definitely better than Kenny Pickett. So 2 teams in his own division, I think right now, if there was a way they could get a deal done without, totally giving up a king's ransom, I think they would do it.
And I think Lamar thinks he deserves a king's ransom, and that's one of those sticking points. Richard Sherman obviously thinks he deserves one too. I don't know. He's definitely a game changer. He's hard to defend, but I wouldn't say he's one of the quarterbacks that you need to bankrupt your future to go get. I think that's reserved to the top 4 quarterbacks. If you could, as a franchise, completely bankrupt yourself to get, you would go get. And I don't think Lamar Jackson is one of those guys. Let's talk about the games that are happening tonight, and some of the cancellations that have also come across tonight as well. We'll start with the cancellations like we do. First, in baseball, here are the games that are not happening tonight. Hubbard at Poland has been canceled. Pymatuning Valley at Ashtabula St. John postponed. And then the 7 o'clock games, just the 7 o'clock games at Scene Park right now have been canceled. That is McDonald and Lowville and Solon and Hoban have also been canceled. So McDonald-Lowville, 7 o'clock game at Scene, canceled, and Hoban has been canceled against Solon. The softball games that have been canceled: Hubbard at Poland, Pine Tuning Valley at Ashtabula St. John, and Steubenville Central Catholic at East Liverpool. So those are the games that have been canceled for baseball and softball. We have 6 baseball games on the network tonight. Jefferson will travel the South Range on the baseball diamond. Chris Colucci will have the call there. On Scene 1 at 4 o'clock, West Branch will play Ursuline. Ala Caberna will have the call on that one. Columbiana will go to Salem at 4:30. Derek Rhodes on the call. Crestview and Campbell Memorial will play at 5 o'clock on Scene 2. It'll be Noah Doty on the call there. Struthers will go to Lakeview. Cooper Chavone on the call for that one. On the baseball diamond, United will travel to Lisbon. And our own Quinn Puchkar will be on the call with Scott Hinthorn for United at Lisbon baseball. And for softball right now, with all the changes, we're trying to get a couple of announcers to get to a softball game. But as of now, it'll be a softball free night on the network. Here are the games that are happening. 3:30, Jefferson will be at South Range. At 4 o'clock at McCoon Park in Canfield, Middle Ridge will be at Ursuline. At 4:30, Newton Champion goes to Newton Falls. At 5, Badger goes to Wyndham. Also at 5, Crestview at Campbell. That'll be at Field of Dreams. 5 o'clock, Garfield hosts LeBray. 5 o'clock, Liberty will travel to Brookfield. Also 5 o'clock, Jackson Milton will be hosting Southeast. Latonia will host Southern. Lakeview will host Struthers. And Canfield will host Warren Harding. All those at 5 o'clock for the softball diamond. That'll do it for today's show. I went a little bit over time, but who really cares? There's no show after us until 3 o'clock, so we have a lot of cushion, and we had a lot of fun. Scotty, thank you so much for joining us this week like you do every week. We always enjoy your company, and can't wait to have you back next week, buddy.
Thank you, Anthony. It's always, I say this a lot, but being on the show with you every week and being on with DJ for the Power Hour weekly it gives me a chance to, let my voice be heard, and that's all I can ask for, man. So looking forward to the next one.
All right, Scotty, we'll see you next week. Thank you all for coming and joining us on today's episode of Running Point. As always, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. We'll be back tomorrow from 1 to